Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Crown and today we are going to have some more stories that I hope that you will enjoy. But before we start, it would be so much appreciated if you would subscribe to the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, and maybe leave a comment down below. These simple clicks would mean a lot to the future of this channel and really reward the effort that I put in every day. And now, without further ado, let's go! First story. If my ice cream melts because the house next to mine is on fire, I'll just run you over with my car. It was a somewhat windy Monday when all this happened. I was on my way home from work that day after taking a slight detour to the nearest Walmart to do some quick shopping. I picked up what I came here for, then headed for the checkout line. And that's when I started hearing some ruckus coming from the back of the store. It was some female shrieking that could easily be identified by many shoppers around this area. It is a no-brainer. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a Karen in the building. I tried to listen to what was going on exactly, but I felt as it was somewhat farther in the back. But when I was about to leave with my groceries, I saw a woman dragging her cart and some poor employee with her near the checkout area where she found herself a suited-up manager. And she started complaining a bit about some other customer taking the last item on the shelf before she did, and that she wants her item back, plus that customer fired and banned from the store. At that moment, I realized she was a level 10 Karen, and I just wanted to get out of there as soon as possible before things got uglier, because normally that's how it works and that's how it ends. After I was done with my shopping, I headed into the parking lot, and there I really struggled to get into my car simply because some idiot was parking his car right next to mine without leaving much room for me to open my car door to get in, even though there are many vacant spaces around the lot. Seriously, you did not have to do that to me. Anyways, not wanting to annoy the hell out of myself or waste so much time trying to search or wait for this other car's owner to come and move his car a bit, I managed to squeeze myself in and started driving home. As I said earlier, it was getting a little bit more windy for my liking, but at least I didn't have any appointments later that night, and thankfully I could stay inside for the remainder of the day. As I was nearing my neighborhood, I started seeing huge pillars of black smoke rising in the sky. I got extremely worried as I practically live at the end of the street I'm currently driving towards, and it clearly looks like there is a nasty fire somewhere near my house. My heart dropped and proceeded to beat very fast as I started to overthink horrible stuff since I'm leaving my beloved wife and our newborn baby in our house. But shortly after, I couldn't help but let out a massive sigh of relief as it was clear to me now that it was not my house on fire. I quickly called my wife to check on her and made sure she and our baby were safe. Then I decided to park my car in a side street nearby and headed for where the smoke was coming from. A quick note: my parents died in a car accident when I was very young and I was raised by my uncle and aunt. They were the best people and they did their best to raise me properly. One of the things they taught me and made sure I embrace from a young age is to help others whenever I had the chance, even if they are not related to me, even if I didn't even know them. The rule was, if you can help someone out, then stick around and do it without expecting anything in return. Hence why I headed towards the area where the fire was. I don't know what I could help with. I have no idea if the firefighters were there yet or not. But all I know is that I'll try to help out with whatever I can. But of course, without being a burden on the professionals doing their job. Thankfully, when I reached my destination, I found the fire trucks, ambulances, and police cars filling the street. Everyone was occupied and trying to do their best to get this fire to die down. And from asking bystanders, I knew that at the moment, the house was empty and that thankfully, no one was injured or still stuck inside the house on fire. Right now, it was getting annoyingly windy, and we were just standing there hoping for the firefighters to be able to contain the fire before it spread to the nearby houses and made a bad situation a lot worse. After some time, and right when things started feeling like going in a right way, I hear some loud tire screeching. Look over and lay my eyes on an oddly familiar car. I try to remember where I saw this car before, but before I realize it was the same car that parked right next to mine in a Walmart parking lot, a familiar, angry face gets out of it and starts moving towards the fire trucks. It was Karen, the one from before at Walmart. A cop manages to stop her and asks her to stay away for the time being until the situation settles and the fire is contained. But she starts shouting back at him to move these fire trucks from where they are, all so she could park her car in front of her house, the house next to the burning one, and quickly stock the ice cream she bought into her freezer before it melts down, especially with all this heat around. Wow, I couldn't see the cop's face from where I was standing, but I'm sure his jaw dropped, just like mine did, at how self-centered this woman is. The house next to yours is on fire, and you're pestering the cops about how the heat from that fire is going to melt your ice cream? And also get rid of the fire trucks so you could park your car where you usually do? Are you for real, woman? The cops tries to calm her down, but to no avail, especially after he explains to her that they can't do that right now and that she's going to have to wait. After screaming and shouting more and more about her house, ice cream, and parking space, eventually she just huffs and stomps right back to her car like a little child throwing a tantrum. And at that moment, I thought she accepted the fact that there is no going into her house right now or even parking her car near it. But she gets inside her car, turns the engine back on, and presses the gas pedal as hard as she can, bolting her car into the stay-away zone and crashing into the nearest fire truck while barely missing the police officer that told her off after he managed to jump out of her way when he saw her car moving. After that, it was just a fiasco. Cops and EMTs were running towards her car, getting her out of the car, placing her hands behind her back, and cuffing them while she kept screaming some nonsense about ice cream and getting them all fired and fined for parking in her parking space. Thankfully, the firefighters near the fire truck that she crashed into weren't harmed. However, I saw the EMT standing to the cop that jumped out of the way before getting run over. Clearly, he injured his elbow or arm, but I'm not entirely sure if she hit his arm with her car or he just injured it when he landed on the ground. After another hour or so, the firefighters managed to contain the fire, and eventually it died down entirely. And later I learned that this crazy Karen was facing some serious list of charges that was stopped with assault and battery on a police officer. And last I heard, she was hit with 5 years in prison. But I'm not quite sure if it stopped there, to be honest, as I dropped following her case since I got busier later on. I don't really know what was going on inside her crazy head doing what she did, but overall I'm glad she got what she deserved. Someone that mental is better off being locked inside a prison cell and away from people. Next story. Candy store tries to strong-arm me into a purchase I shouldn't have been charged for. I stopped at one of those candy stores inside malls you always see with tons of bins full of random candy and the bags you can fill up yourself with the tongs where you get charged some crazy price by the pound. On this visit, they seem to be running a special next to where the bags were kept to fill up your candy. They had a sign saying free cups to store your candy. So I opted for that instead of the bag, knowing they would still weigh the cup too. When I got to the counter and they weighed the candy, the total came out on the register, but I had to question it since I may not have heard the price right. It was about double what I was expecting it to be. I asked how much candy they weighed and what the price breakdown was. The two clerks behind the register looked irritated that I had to question them. But they gave me the weight and also added that they charged me several dollars for that cheap plastic cup that was supposed to be free. Aren't those cups supposed to be free? I asked. No, they are not free. They are $4 each. There is a big sign saying free cups. No, there isn't. I walk over and point to the sign that says free. Oh, we used to have free cups, but we ran out, so we put jars there instead. Isn't that a bit misleading? No, because these are jars. Wouldn't it be fair to say someone looking at a sign that says free cups and sees a plastic container where the sign is assuming that it's a cup? No, because it's not a cup. There is nothing else around the sign, only the containers and a sign that says free. No response. I was getting nowhere. Fine, I'll just dump the candy in a bag and you can keep the jar. No, you can't do that, because you already touched the jar. And we can sell it to someone else now. They said smugly, expecting my defeat. But I remembered they didn't have my credit card yet. Okay then, just keep the candy too. Bye. They realized they would need to toss out both the candy and the jar that I had. And the smirks they were trying to hide quickly turned to scowls. I could feel the daggers being stared at me as I walked out. Idiots. Next story. Boyfriend's dad is an entitled jerk. This may be a long one. Just happened this morning and I'm livid and still trying to calm down. Disclaimer. I am not advocating for violence. I'm pointing out how lucky my boyfriend's dad is that I don't currently own a firearm because I genuinely thought we were experiencing a home invasion. Two things that are important to know about me. I am hard of hearing. I'm a survivor of a violent crime and subsequent stalking. Context. My boyfriend, 28 male, and his folks, late 60s, own a coffee shop. But because his dad, the entitled dad, doesn't want to A. listen to anyone else, and B. learn how to run a business correctly, or C. pay his son his draw, my boyfriend is largely uninvolved and has talked about being bought out. He's still the administrator on the point of sale system though, because his dad has no desire to actually learn how it works or go through the process to take over the account. The coffee shop drama could be a whole series of boasts about how they did us dirty. Perhaps another time. We got to bed really late. Okay, early, it was 4:30 a.m., which normally wouldn't be an issue, as my boyfriend was scheduled for a late shift, and I'm currently taking time off work to figure out a medical issue. My boyfriend turns off his phone volume when he goes to bed, and this is well known to everyone close to us. He is notoriously hard to get a hold of in the mornings. I only hear my phone if it's right under my pillow and the volume and vibration is up. At 6:25 a.m. I started receiving the following texts from my boyfriend's mom, which I do not hear as I'm passed out. At 6:25 in the morning, sorry to bother you. I need boyfriend to call the entitled dad as soon as possible. His phone is off. 7:35 a.m. The entitled dad is going to come wake that boyfriend unless he calls us. Just before 8:30, the dog started barking as someone tried to open the locked bedroom door. I wake up panicked as whoever it is started banging on the door. It then stops for a few moments, then starts again. No one has said anything at this point. Not me, not my boyfriend, and not the intruder. I get up and go to the closet for the baseball bat. I start kicking myself for thinking we would not need a gun when the boyfriend had brought it up in the past. We open the bedroom door to find the entitled dad at the end of the hall. He starts yelling about needing the code for the two-factor authentication for the register. I start yelling at the entitled dad, and the boyfriend, who is just as angry as I am, has me go back into the bedroom, and I put my hearing aids in at this point. The entitled dad claims to have been knocking on our front door, but neither dog heard him. My boyfriend gives him the code and tries to explain to him that coming into our house unannounced is a huge violation of trust and boundaries. Not the first major issue. The entitled dad then yells about needing to get the register working. The boyfriend kicks him out, and we think that's the end of it. Not 2 minutes later, I received another text from his mom. Please tell your boyfriend to send a new code. We still can't get in. Then we hear the clanging of the metal gate and more pounding on the front door. We go answer it. The entitled dad is yelling about needing the new code, and he has a copy of our key in hand. He clearly was going to let himself back in. I lost it at this point and yelled, "You can't just let yourself into our house. What is wrong with you?" He gave me more nonsense about needing to get the register working. I screamed, "My ability to be safe in my own home is more important than your shop." He took particular offense to this, yelling back at me, "So you see me as a threat? Am I a threat to you?" I try explaining that I've had my home broken into before, and his response was, "Not by me," over and over. Then continues yelling about the shop. I demand the emergency key back, and after yelling a bit more, he shoves it at me. My boyfriend had enough and yelled at me to go back to the bedroom, that he will handle it. So I do, because at this point, I'm on the edge of a panic attack. Through the closed bedroom door, I hear more yelling, and after a bit the door slammed. My boyfriend called his mom, saying that entitled dad needed to apologize and that his behavior wasn't acceptable. She asked him, "What does he need to apologize for?" Then my boyfriend tells her, and she is mortified. I then get this text from her. "I am sorry to have bothered you so much today. Sorry this entitled dad made such a scene." I have not responded. This man clearly does not understand boundaries, doesn't think he needs to be held accountable for anything, and felt entitled to just barge into our house and demand his son fix a tech issue. And for the record, yes, I do in fact see him as a threat now. Both of my boyfriend's parents know about my severe PTSD. We know he won't apologize because he genuinely doesn't see a problem with his behavior. It is time for some serious boundaries and a security system. Edit. There will be an update soon once things have calmed down a bit. Locks are being changed and we are getting a security system tomorrow. I did receive a non-apology text from the entitled dad, but it fell short. And now we have reached the end of today's stories. Thank you for watching and see you next time.